And again, wisdom is said to be in Sirach. Verse 9 says, he created me from the beginning, before the world, and I shall never fail. And then we brought out First Colossians as well. Verse 16 says, for by him all things were created. And verse 17 says, and he is before all things. So I wanted to marry those two things together. Now, verse 17, read that again.
As the vine brought I forth pleasant savor, and my flowers are the fruit of honor and riches.
So let me stop right there. So it says, as the vine brought I forth a pleasant savor. So wisdom is being described as the vine here. And then 21,
they that eat me shall yet be hungry, and they that drink me shall yet be thirsty.
That says, they that eat me shall not be hungry, and they that drink me shall not be thirsty. It's just an old writing style that they do. So let's talk about the true vine. The true vine, John chapter 4 and verse 14. And it's going to just kind of talk about both of those things. The drinking, the eating, and the vine.
And so this could be confirmation that Yahushua knew of these apocryphal books. Because remember when he tested their chin, he said, except you eat my flesh and drink of my blood. And when he said that, a lot of the false disciples left him.
Yeah.
And he turned to the 12 and says, shall you leave me too? So he could have been put into Sirach because Sirach and them was doing the Greek captivity before his birth.
Right.
And then these Israelites who kept these records were in Alexandria, Egypt. Where did Hamashiach go when Joseph took him from Herod?
Egypt.
To Egypt. So you see how we can't give you a text that says Hamashiach knew about the Apocrypha, but when you put these Hebrews together, he's alluding to Sirach right here.
It's, yeah, that's big.
That's the abstract right here.
Oh. All right. So John chapter 4, verse 14, it's on the screen. So it says, but whosoever drinketh of the water I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in a well of water springing up from everlasting life. Now, the water that he was giving us is the word. And if we go back, it said that the word of Yahweh is the fountain of wisdom. Then he goes on to say in John 15, verse 1, I am the true vine. It's black and white. We was just speaking about wisdom, saying that wisdom was the vine. And here is saying, I am the true vine. I would have to slide it over. I didn't even know. But and then verse 5 says, and also it says, and my Father is your husbandman. And I wanted to bring that out because that goes back into the whole thing about the wedding. And this is what you were saying earlier. You be reading one thing and then you see something else. And I'll just be like, I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to say. It's just all praises. Yeah.
Because if he's the vine and the Father is the farmer, that means the farmer, he owns the field. And he's saying, I'm the vine. So I'm the vine that's running through this grape vineyard, and we are the grapes, the branches, but my Father owns this vineyard.
We're the fruit cluster.
We're the fruit, the cluster.
But that's why your fruit, you're the fruit of him, but you're supposed to get fruit as well.
Right, and it's showing a hierarchy. Your Trinity is not in this text. Your Jesus is telling you that he's not the Father. Your Jesus is telling you, I'm the vine, but my Father owns the field. But you and your church is going to make him equal to the Father.
Go ahead, Samariah.
I just had a question when you brought up the husband and were you referring to the idea of about Christ not we not being Christ's bride, but we the bride of Yahweh.
Right.
All right, cool.
Well, that's an old-fashioned term for farmer.
And that's what he was bringing out.
Okay.
But that's what I thought too.
This language is dirty.
But like he was saying that the husbandman is like the dresser of the vineyard, pretty much.
Okay.
But that's what I was thinking too. And then verse 5 says, I am the vine, and we are the branches. He that abideth in the Messiah, and the Messiah in us, the same shall bring forth much fruit. That's what we was just saying. And for without the Messiah, we can do nothing. So then he said also in Sirach about the eating as well as the drinking. So that's where this bread of life comes in at. John chapter 6, verse 48 through 51. Shema. He says it plainly, I am the bread of life. And then verse 51, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eats of this bread, he shall live forever, everlasting life, incorruption, the assurity of incorruption. And this bread that I give is my body, my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world, Tabal of Yasha'Allah.
Come on now.
Matthew 26. The bread and the wine, because wisdom said, they that drinketh me shall not be thirsty, and they that eateth me shall not be hungry. And the Messiah is reiterating that same language. Shemai. Now, as Matthew 26 and 26, now as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and after blessing it, broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And then verse 27 says, and he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, the water avayah, he gave it to them, saying, drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood. And in your Bible, it might say of the New Testament. But if you go to me, that stood out as added, or that is not what he would have said. So I was checking different Bibles, and I think the ESV so far says it the best. It says, for this is the blood of the covenant. The covenant was already established at Sinai. So he's saying, this is my blood of the covenant. And ESV writes in the sidebar that New Testament was added. And it says, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins.
And also the footnote is telling on too that they added that so-called New Testament, because the footnote in this Bible is pointing to Exodus 24 and 8. And Exodus 24 and 8, you know it ain't no new covenant. That's the first covenant.
Exactly. Wow, that's great. That's great. I was looking for something like that. So I appreciate that as well. I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, Exodus 24 and 8 is going back to, and Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people.
Oh, well.
And said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yah hath made with you concerning all these words.
And that makes so much sense. I don't know if it's in here
Y'all
or
got a
not.
footnote in your Bible pointing to Exodus 24?
No.
Yeah, some Bibles don't have footnotes and stuff.
Mine have footnotes, but not
Not
there.
that one.
Not there.
That's what these new editions keep doing, the different publishers keep doing. That's why it's hard to get the truth a lot of times.
I was reading in Paul. Somebody online had a comment.
I'm sorry, you're in the right. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah, it was kind of a question, because I'm glad Marah brought this up, because I was going to actually read that precept as well. Is this like a Hebraism for what the Most High is going to do moving forward? Because he said, I'm going to do a new thing. I will put my law in their inward part. So, because when Masha, with the first Exodus, Masha sprinkled the blood on them. But with Yahushai had them drink the blood. So I was going to ask, is that like a Hebraism for the Most High putting the word on our inward parts at the end?
I don't believe that's the context. I believe the context is that just like the first time he took the blood from the sacrifice of the animals, he's saying now the blood, the animal, when you use all the new so-called testament in context, the sacrifice of bulls and goats can't do what the blood of the Messiah can do. So also Uncle Shawar was saying that the Messiah is reconciling us back to the Father. So if he's doing that, and if you can remember how Morah said it's not, I'm thinking of Gilgal, but what's that word? Galal, how he was re-establishing what Joshua did when we entered into the land. So with his blood and him coming out of heaven, getting off of his throne, coming down to us and being the sacrifice, he's atoning, he's reconciling and reestablishing the same covenant we already had. If that makes sense. It's not a New Testament, it's not a new covenant, it's a re-establishing, a confirmation. And I have go ahead.
I think Nariah does, because we all think differently, but I'm thinking Nariah is on to something because I'm thinking he's on to something because if we drink and eat, it gives us substance and nutrients.
Because what you're saying, like before, you saying who eats and drinks of me shall never be hungry or thirsty. So I was just saying what Hamashiach is doing. Could it be like a dual thing? Could it be a reconciliation and a foretelling of what's to come at the end?
He said
with that part,
foreshadow that's going to be automatic in us.
At that part, I would agree with that part. That part I would agree.
Okay, that's all I was saying. Okay.
I'm sure I had his hand up.
Go ahead.
I like what is this, Matthew 26? I like 28. Then it says, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for forgiveness of sins. He said poured out for many. That don't sound like all people. That don't even sound like all of literal bloodline Israel either. He just said for many. So, we got not all of our people, not all of our people gonna make it, and then that eliminates other people too.
I see your point.
What's he saying now?
He's saying that he could have said, my blood, which is poured out for the world, or my blood, which is poured out for everybody. He said, my blood. He didn't even say my blood, which is poured out for every person in Israel. He said for many, because that I agree with what he's trying to say, because even within Israel, the audience was Israel the whole time. There's heathens within Israel. And he said, if you can't hear my word, then you were never a part of me anyway from the beginning. So I agree with what Avshayah is saying there. He's saying, which my blood is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. He's not including like the world.
But could still be an adulteration because he
Go ahead.
figure out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, finish it.
But there's also forgiveness of sins, and sin is a transgression against the law, and only one people have the law. So that still narrows it down to, it ain't for the world, like the new definition, but the world of Israel. And not all Israel is Israel.
Yeah, 100%.
So it still proves the point.
100%. Go ahead, Morah.
Gina has something.
No, I was just thinking the many. I was just kind of putting that in my head, because they mess with our text so much. It could have been for Israel, many. I know he's not in the world.
Yeah.
But
well, we know it's for Israel, but not. So you're right. But I think Avshayah is coming from the point we're already in here under the assumption that he's talking to Israel.
already.
So now within Israel, he's saying that there are some that the Messiah, they're none of his. Just like how we know we got family members that is just seem like,
Yeah, it's not even penetrating no whatsoever.
yeah.
That's the part that hurts. Like my wife's been saying, like the facts of the case, the people we love may not be his.
Right.
And that was hurts. But going back to revealing that this phrase in Matthew 26:26, this is the blood of the New Testament, that it's very well added and it's adulterated.
Matthew, what again, babe?
Is it Matthew 26:26?
Okay.
That phrase is the New Testament.
27,
Is it 27?
It's 28.
28.
Matthew 26:28. And they have Messiah supposedly saying, this is the blood of the New Testament, right? Two things. I'm so thankful for all the witnesses. This is the Hebrew Greek Bible, and it had the word or it had that phrase New Testament underlined. So I had to check the key to see what it's saying. So the underline is pointing to the Greek word, and the Greek word for new here is kanos. Kanos is saying it's of uncertainty where they get kanos from, right? But it says new, especially in freshness. So it's renewed covenant. Because when we look at it from the Hebraic perspective, nothing Messiah did was new. We had to have blood for atonement in the first covenant.
It's like a cleanup.
So now he's not doing anything new. So for them to use this pagan word, this is the New Testament, that's why we have to come away from their pagan language, because it's throwing us off. Just like you pointed out in the Apocrypha when you was reading Sirach, it says, if you eat this, drink this blood, you shall yet be thirsty.
It don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense. So you brought out that yet it should have been, you should not be. So unraveling their lies, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of wisdom, and it takes the Messiah talking to you. And John 14:21 says, our Messiah only talks to the lawful. So that's why this is where this understanding is coming from. So it's not the blood of the New Testament. This is the blood of the refreshed covenant. I'm refreshing the covenant.
Reestablishing
Reestablishing the covenant.
reconcile.
So I just wanted to add that.
Con. So I put the Baruch in there. I just skipped past it though. That I didn't want to go through that. It's a part of it, but we read it before, and then Nariah had us read it again. But I don't have anything for that. But I just wanted to make sure I put it in the lesson of this Baruch chapter 3. But I'm gonna skip past that and go to Proverbs. I think we're done with the Apocrypha now, I believe. And we're gonna go to the Proverbs, I believe. We're gonna go to Proverbs and then 7 through 9. And oh no, we do go back to the Apocrypha one more time, I think. So Shema, when you have it.
Shema.
Is it Proverbs 7?
Proverbs 4, 7,
Tamaria.
Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor, and when thou doest embrace her, she shall give thee thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory.
Read that again.
She shall give thee thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory. Shall she deliver to thee?
She shall, or wisdom shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver, or wisdom shall deliver to thee. And real quick, I just dropping in my mind about what Nariah was saying about the part, I think you was focused on that part about the drinking the water or drinking the blood and eating the bread. And yeah, because if you get that, his word and his substance inside you, then how he knows all commandments and all things that the Father has shown, we will know all things that the Father has shown. So that I do want to reiterate and bring out what you probably was thinking.
That's what he was on. That's how I interpreted what he was saying. That's going to help us be automatic with it.
Right. So I wanted to bring that back up. And then the key point here, wisdom will give thee to thine head an ornament, a crown of grace, a crown of glory shall wisdom deliver to thee. So all the way at the end of the book is Revelation 22 and verse 12. Shema.
Shema.
Revelation 22 and 12 says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. And so we know that the Messiah is coming with a reward. Wisdom is just said to give a reward of a crown of glory on our heads. So going on back to the Apocrypha, I think this might be the last time, and it's 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and just verse 43 through 47. Shema when you have it, and then Brother Zamaria.
Shema.
Yeah, it's like right in somewhere near the beginning of the book. Verse 43.
And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns.
Stop right there. So just for a little bit of context, this is 2nd Esdras. This is Ezra, the Levite, who saw in a vision by the angel. He saw the Messiah. He saw a man of high stature standing with a large group of people on what looked like Mount Zion. So he's describing it here that he saw a man standing taller than all the rest of the people, and he was setting crowns on their heads. And wisdom just was stated to set crowns of glory on your head. And also in Revelation, the Messiah said when he comes, he's coming with a reward. And then it says, go on, continue verse 43.
And upon every one of their heads he set crowns and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal.
Stop right there. The crown that he's giving you is allowing you to have the everlasting life that wisdom has been talking about and the Messiah has been talking about this whole time.
Come on, Al.
Go ahead, Zamarian.
And have confessed the name of Yahweh. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, what young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands?
Who is this?
So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of Yahweh.
It is the Son of Yahweh,
whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahweh.
Hold on, if we got the thing flat in here, go back to your slide of Kakama. Now watch how powerful this is. Go back all the way to Kakama. And wow, my goodness, you're good to us. You're good to us. Good grace in the morning. My Father. Y'all can't tell me we're not the people of the book. So that's the image of Kakama, right? In the original Abaria or Hebrew, right? Starting from the right. I'm doing this for the benefit of those on Facebook and those who may see this at a later date. Hebrew, we start from the right side, the picture of the tent wall.
And we said the tent wall is usually made of animal skins or hide turned into leather, right? The animal skins or the leather or the tent wall, they cover you. And then the hand right there, right? I'm covering those in my hand. Okay, let's just focus on those first two characters. Because now when we get to 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse 47, he says, or 46, 45. He says, and he answered and said, this is 2nd Ezra 2, verse 45. He answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal and have confessed the name of Yahweh. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Now palms, it comes from the palm tree. A palm tree is surviving and we're covering tabernacles, sukkah, make your booths with the trees of the myrtle tree and the palms. So we make our booths, our coverings with palms or with leaves. So these leaves we're putting on a cover. I'm covering these people. You see, this is kakama, this is wisdom, because we have put on wisdom. Now we're going to receive everlasting palm, everlasting covering.
And that's why that word, it said the tent wall can be eternal. That's, I wanted to put that up here when I seen it up there, but yeah, eternal, eternal. And then too, to receive something, you have to do what?
Open your hand. Come on now. This is real.
That's what they
This
said.
is real.
It's tough, man.
You ain't eating like this in the Christian church.
Come on.
That's
man.
why I was so like, I was like, yo, this was one of those ones, like usually I really don't care if I say, like, I don't have to speak or anything, but this one I was like, I got to bring this out. Like I said, this is too much. Like, I was like, I gotta bring this out. Like it was burning me up. Like I was like Nariah, I think the only person, he ain't seen the whole thing, but he's the only one that I've showed the conclusion, because the conclusion was, that was just blowing me away. So I said, I gotta tell somebody. Like, so I've been excited to release this information that was given to me to you all. So I'm glad. And even within that, like I knew with the language and things like that, it was a reason I was like, I gotta bring this, I gotta use this kakama, man. Like this word or chakama, we don't know how they'll say it yet, but shakama. They were like, oh, it's the Shekinah. No. Still, Christian.
Oh, yeah, Shekinah glory.
What you saying?
Oh man. Oh, I'm glad. I almost forgot. So today, Marah said, turn to what Marah said, 1 Peter 5, and we're talking about rewards and we're talking about crowns. And read, just start at 2, and then go ahead. Whenever you got it or y'all ready, let Samaria, he'll read it.
Come on, bye.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2.
All right. Feed the flock of Yahweh, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. You going?
Yes, sir.
Neither as being lords over Yahweh's heritage, but being ensamples to the flock.
Verse 4.
And when the chief shepherd shall appear,
Yahushai, when he shall appear,
ye shall receive a crown of glory.
You shall receive a crown of glory. And then it said, wisdom is gonna place crowns of glory
that faded not away.
There it is right there. Psalms. Give thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall wisdom deliver to thee. 1 Peter 5 and 4 says, and when the chief shepherd, because we all shepherds to somebody,
Right.
but when the chief come through,
Ha
Mashiach, you will receive a crown of glory that will not fade away.
Come on.
Everlasting life.
Come on. Wow.
That's when I started jumping out in my seat. I'm like, dang, because I didn't even do like a type in and get all the same words. I didn't even do that. So I missed this one, but the Most High was like, oh, you got to bring this out today. So when you said turn to 1 Peter, I was like, oh, snap. There it is. All praises to Yahweh. All praises. All praises. So who have believed? This is Sirach. Can't get out of this apocrypha, but I think this is it. It's only 2 verses. 26 and 20, 22 and 26. Chapter 6, verse 22 and then verse 26. And it just said how wisdom is according to its name or fame and is not manifest unto many. Everybody's not going to get this. And it says, verse 26, come into wisdom with your whole heart and keep wisdom's ways with all your power. Isaiah 53:1 says, who have believed the report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? Because again, it's not manifest to many. And now we're moving to Proverbs 8, the famous Proverbs 8, and it's nuggets all through this chapter right here.
I love this word, man. I love this word. It's beautiful.
The whole chapter is about wisdom, and just not even for the sake of time, but we've already read this like twice. So I got some of the key ones that I want to point out that goes with what the Messiah was saying on the screen. So Proverbs 8 and verse 3 is gonna start, and it says, wisdom cries at the gates. Y'all remember we were talking about the doors before? So we're gonna talk about the doors a little bit. It says, wisdom cries at the gates and at the entry of the city. What city would he be talking about? At the coming in, at the doors. And verse 7 says, for my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. We know that the Messiah kept all the commandments. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. Every word the Messiah spoke came from the Father, so they were all righteous. Then he says, there is nothing froward or perverse in them. And then it says, they are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that findeth knowledge. Wisdom is saying, receive my instruction and not silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. So the commandments and instruction is greater than any money that we could receive. It's better than rubies. And then it says, counsel is mine and sound wisdom. I am understanding and I have strength. And just try to keep that in mind, that it says understanding and strength is a part of what wisdom has going on. So I just want to make sure we stick in our minds that wisdom is crying at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming of the doors. Right, verse 17. I love them that love me. Conditions.
You love everybody.
Them that love me, and those who seek me early shall find me. Don't wait till it's too late. I lead in the way of righteousness, the Most High's commandments, and in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, great substance, and I will fill their treasures.
So you got to do something to get. You got to do something to get inheritance. Those that love me going to get inheritance. And then how do we show that we love him?
Keep his commandments. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way before the works of old. We spoke about this before. I was set up from everlasting, from eternity, from the beginning, before the earth ever was. And I think this is the last part before we go into the comparison. Before the mountains were settled, or before the hills were, wisdom was brought forth. Before or while as not he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest parts of the dust of the world. Now therefore hearken unto me, O children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Blessed is the man that heareth me, waiting daily at the post of my doors. I think I missed that. Waiting daily at the post of my doors. That's going to be key. Whosoever findeth me,
Truth and life.
con, whosoever findeth me shall obtain favor of Yahweh, but he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
And you know what? We just got to do this. We try not to be, we're not going to be exclusive and cut people off, but we can't sugarcoat the heritage of these scriptures. We're the only city in the Bible that's set up with gates. So when you read, I'm standing at the door, I'm at the Daily Post, this is specific to Israelites. Our city was set up by the Most High. He told David how to set the city up. So all this language here is exclusive to Israel.
Yeah, that's right.
Now the strangers have a gate to come in, but they're not coming in the regular gates with us. They have their way to come in. Like in the temple, they had the outer court of
For
the
the
Gentiles. So when you come back to your heritage, you can't say that these proverbs, these scriptures are for the whole world. No, they're exclusive to Israelites. That's what our national declaration is. These are Israelite scrolls written by Israelites for Israelites.
You're going in there where I'm members only, Jack.
That day you remember Jack.
Members only, Jack.
You gotta be a member to get in here.
Remember. So I'm checking you, like, no, this ain't your gate. Okay, you a righteous stranger. We love you, but this is not the gate for you. You have to go through the proper gate if you want to fellowship with Israel. That's not being mean or puffed up. This is what Ariah set up. I'm not going to lose my right to the land trying to be nice to you. Now, this is what it is.
What you had, Joyce?
Oh, I was gonna say verse 21 goes back to what Moray was saying before, like you get substance when you eat and drink. And verse 21 is saying that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance. So when you read that, I was like, okay, that's going back to what he was saying. You drink and eat of me.
I agree.
Oh, praise God. Y'all got me on fire. Everybody tear up. I'm a little gangster. Everybody, this is most hard working, man.
John chapter 10. Remember, we've been talking about the doors. So John chapter 10, verse 1 and 2, and then 7 and 9. Go ahead.
Go through all of those verses or just?
Chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, and then 7 and 9.
All right, that's it. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entered not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber.
Stop right there. It says, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but try to get in some other way, is a thief and a robber. Verse 2.
But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep.
But he that entereth by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. Verse 7.
Then said Yahweh unto them again, verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep.
I am the door of the sheep. Verse 9.
I am the door, by if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture.
So if you go through the door of the Messiah, then you shall find pasture. Proverbs 8 and verse 3 says, wisdom is at the gates of the city, at the coming in at the doors. So wisdom is waiting by the gates of the city at the coming in at the doors. But then the Messiah says that he is the door that we must enter in by to get to the pasture. And then I think this point is about how wisdom is constantly saying that it's from everlasting. So John 17:5, what does the Messiah say about being from everlasting? Come on.
And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was.
And now, O Yah, O Father, glorify you, me, with yourself. Not that I am you. Glorify me with you, with the glory which I had
Plain black and white.
before,
It's everywhere.
Plain black and white.
before the world was. So the what Marah said way back when I first had this idea, he was saying that it was possibly a different office or administration that the Messiah had. So he had a different role before he came here. And that's why he's saying, now, Father, my time here is almost done. Glorify me back to what I had with you in everlasting. And wisdom, time and time, every verse we brought out is talked about being from before all things were created. So I just wanted to bring that part back out. And then back to the bread and wine, back to Naraya's thought and what we were bringing out earlier. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1.
This is good food.
I'm against the fried.
This is good food, man.
Yeah, I love the way the place they that
Jamal.
Shema.
it just really that brings a lot of this reading to life.
Wisdom hath builded
Its house.
its house. It hath shown, it hath hewn, is that word? Out of his 7 pillars.
So remember that. Remember 7 pillars. And Marah, did you have something? Okay. Just remember that wisdom is built upon 7 pillars. Verse 5.
Come eat of my bread.
Eat of my bread.
And drink of the wine which I have mingled.
Stop right there. So remember earlier when I was saying that the hand represent molding and bending, I ain't even like just seeing this, that is what was on my mind. Like it had to mingle the wine. So go ahead, verse 10, skip down to verse 10.
The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom.
Respect, this is what I speak to Zamaria about. It's not, you can use it to be like, man, Most High will get me out of here, but it's respect. Respect me enough to do what I said. Like you would respect your wife to not cheat on her. So that's what the Most High is saying. And that's the beginning of wisdom. And continue.
And knowledge of the holy is understanding.
So the knowledge of what's set apart is understanding. What's set apart comes from the Most High.
I say knowledge of grace, understanding.
And you got that seminary. You went to Joy School.
That seminary book, but the holy is understanding.
The knowledge of the holy is understanding, not school books, not seminary books. And what's holy is only given to us by the Most High. Verse 11.
For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased.
So if you live with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding the Most High's commandments, then the days of your life shall be increased. Just like he said, honor your mother and father, and your days shall be lengthened. Same thing. And then I marked mingled there. Oh, for the wine. So back to this verse that we just brought out, the bread and the wine. We already read it before, so just read through it. Take this bread and eat. This is my body. And then he said, with the cup, drink of it, all of you, for this is the blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. So again, that bread and wine is a deep, deep meaning. And they took it and said, oh, this is communion.
Yeah.
Right.
This ain't got nothing to do with that. And this is, we'll be able to make it just power through. This is the actual, unless y'all wanted to stop, this right here was the stop point where the Messiah in Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24 and 30. It's black and white. And Nariah was in the car with me, and I told him to read something else, and he read this, and I said, get out of my notes. Like, but Shawwal comes out clear as day and says, but unto them which are called Jews and Greeks, both Israelites, Yahushua, the power of Yah, not that he is Yah, the power of Yah, and the wisdom of Yah, plain as day.
And again, for the babes
and the Christians, we want to see this at a later date. We brought out, it pays to understand the pagan system and their language. So what Ak is bringing out, power of Yah, wisdom of Yah. In the pagan system, of shows ownership. So the power belongs to Yah and the wisdom belongs to Yah. Like, we are the children of Israel. I'm the husband of Gina. So it pays to understand their system. Christ himself, or Shawwal, your captain, Paul, your captain of the Christian church, he's showing there's a hierarchy and Christ is not on the level with Yah. Christ belongs to Yah. So how can Christ belong to Yah and be Yah also? Their doctrine makes no sense.
It's Jody Ann.
We can break it up.
Go ahead, pull it.
We
now.
got
I had
it.
it on my-
We right there. Yeah, we gotta get there. We
I
got it.
was just going to give the example regarding the power of Yah and the wisdom of Yah in regards to something that we might have familiarity with here on earth, the power of attorney. I was once given the power of attorney of a loved one over his vehicles and over his car. And I now have the authority to do essentially as I please up until a certain point. And once that time ran out, I no longer had that authority. And so just wanted to share that.
That is 1,000% on point.
We gotta let her rock, because that was a perfect example. What she just said, let's go to Abishai. You still with us, Abishai? He's off. Let's go to Abishai's scripture, because what Jody Ann just brought out is 1 Corinthians 15. Yahushua is the owner right now, but his power of attorney is going to run out, and he's going to give power back to Abba. And your captain of the Christian church tells you this. Paul tells you this.
1 Corinthians when?
15.
15.
And I think we can start it for the sake of time at verse 21, I guess. Christ has power of attorney, like Jody Ann just alluded to. He has power of attorney, but that of means he belongs to someone, and he's going to restore or return that power back to his father, which means he's not the father and he's not equal to his father. This is 1 Corinthians 15 and we could drop down to 25. 1 Corinthians 15 and 25. Shema. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. The he must reign is Messiah. Messiah must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. Verse 26. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. For he hath put all things under his feet. So this right here is a adoration of the pagans. It should be capitalized. 1 Corinthians 15:27 should read, for Yah has put all things under Messiah's feet. But when he, Messiah, Salakia. But when he, Yah, says all things were put under him, Messiah, it is manifest that Yah is accepted. Yah never went under his son. So when Yah put all things under his son's authority, like Jodian said, Yah gave his son power of attorney. But it was evident that I'm not putting myself under my son. It's like us natural fathers telling our son, you the man of the house while I'm gone. But obviously you're not over me. You're over the house right now in my stead. That's what's happening with Messiah. And Christian church, they made him the father and they made him equal to the father with some kind of triune and oneness, and it doesn't make sense.
And they don't even say that.
He's not saying it, and Paul, your captain, is not saying it.
All great stuff. Perfect example. Power of attorney made perfect sense to me. And verse 30 of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, we've been speaking that Messiah, he's wisdom, or he's in control of wisdom is kind of where I might be going with that as well. And verse 30, again, Uncle Shawal is just speaking plain as day, but of him are you in Hamashiach Yahushai, who of Yah is made unto us wisdom.
You just killed it. Well, y'all say you
Just killed it. That sounded just like me. That's why I said this could have been if we had to, but it seemed like everybody's into it, and Jodianne just got here. It's like a few more slides, but this is what I wanted to show Marah anyway. We're getting to, but he just says it plain as day, y'all. Like he says it plain as day. But I think by the end, we'll get a better understanding of this spirit of wisdom and how the Messiah and wisdom correlate with each other. So we are going to the end of the book. We're going to all be in Revelation. It's going to start at chapter 1. We're going to read, and it's not every verse, but read chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
take your time, Pastor.
And these verses, this is the part that is going to conclude the wisdom idea that I had. And also it's going to show about the Trinity and lead into everything that Marah is going to end up talking about, in the weeks to come. And the first thing is Revelation 1. Is this who is Revelation about? Who is the revelation of? Messiah. It's the Father. This is the revelation of the Father. And it was given to the Messiah to give to us. So that's why I have, and I'm glad y'all all said that, because that's what we all would say. Now, we're not wrong, but listen to Revelation 1:1. It says, the revelation of Yahushai HaMashiach, which Yah gave to him. If I gave you something, then whose was it? But he gave it to him for a purpose. It says, to show unto his servants, who's that, y'all?
Israel.
Show it to us the things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent it and signified it by his angel. So Yahushua sent the angel, which went to John. And John wrote it down so we can read it. And I seen a TikTok video that an Israelite was going live. And it was the same day when we was reading the wisdom, when we first brought out the wisdom thing. I went into the bathroom. I was getting ready to go to the store, do something. And I just was scrolling TikTok and it came. I said, well, let me see what he's talking about. And he started talking about this. I can't think of his name, but I said, well, let me go read this for myself. And I'm like, man, I had some of this stuff marked, but it's clear as day. So it says Yah gave to the Messiah this revelation. Now we're going to go down to verse 4, which is all this 4 and 5 is on the screen. And it says, John, to the 7 churches which are in Asia, grace be unto you and peace, shalom, from him which is, which was, and which is to come. Who's that, y'all? Who is the one that is, was, and who is that?
Yeah.
So, okay, so from him which is and was and is to come, y'all are saying that that is the Father. You would be correct. A lot of people would say that's Christ.
Churchianity's gonna say it's Christ.
And then it says, and from the 7 spirits, remember I told y'all wisdom is built on 7 pillars, but it says 7 spirits. So it said, this is greetings from the one who is, was, and is to come, and from the 7 spirits, which are before his throne. And then verse 5, and from Yahushua Hamashiach, who is he? What does the next part say, y'all? He's the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead. He's not the first one to die and rise from the dead. He's the first one to die and rise from the dead and never die again. And then it says, he is the prince of the kings of the earth. Unto him that loved us, and he washed us from our, that's why I got those highlighted, us, and our sins in his own blood.
And this is the perfect example of the pagans trying to express Hebrew thought. Because if he's the prince of the kings, how does that work?
But prince would be ruler over the kings.
You see how that makes sense? When we put it back in our culture, he's the ruler of the kings of the earth. According to the text, who's the kings of the earth?
Israelites. But what it's saying is, what you brought out a long time ago, Yahushua is Yasha Allah.
Come on,
Shar is prince.
Come on,
ruler.
That's what
over the kings in the earth, which is us. Verse 6, and he have made unto us kings and priests unto Yah, and himself. He's making us kings and priests for the Father, and glory to him and dominion forever and ever, everlasting. Amen. Verse 7, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they which also pierced him, all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him.
So I got to keep doing this. If the Son is the Father, when was the Father pierced?
Let's just keep going.
The babe said nothing.
Let's keep going. Verse 8, and I already put the answer on here, but if I'm wrong, I'm staying corrected by Elder Marah. I am the Anatah, the beginning and the ending. And in the Bible, it says, saith the Lord. So that would make us think, because it's not all caps, it's New Testament, it would make us think that Lord is Jesus Christ, because we will say master. And then it goes on to say, which is, which was, and is to come. But we are saying, or I'm saying, that's the Father, but the Son is speaking for the Father. And the reason why I would say that, that's why I asked y'all in the beginning, who is, which was, which is, and is to come. And then at the end of that verse 8, it says, the Almighty. Have you ever seen a verse that said Yahushua was the power Almighty? So that's why it says, I am the Anatah, the beginning and the ending, saith Yahweh Almighty, which was, which is, and is to come. Jodianne?
Throughout the Gospels, or at least the 4 books of the New Testament, you see time and time again Yahushua saying to worship his Father, give reverence to his Father. He's always deferring to his Father when people are trying to give adoration and adulation. And if Yahushua is Yahweh, he would just say, yeah, worship me. He never does that.
So what Jodianne is saying is that throughout the New Testament, you'll always see the Son give the glory and worship and praise back to the Father. And I think if you read John chapter 14, John chapter 15, That's all he says. He says, my word is not my own. My doctrine is not my own. It's of the fathers. So that would be absolutely correct on what she's saying. So continuing, go ahead.